Joining me now is House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California. It's great to see you. I know this day is so difficult for everybody who lives in this city, and I thought of you a lot today. I knew I was going to talk to you, but just given everything that happened, everything we all watched, and now we have the current House Speaker refusing to put a commemorative plaque. We have Donald Trump, who's, of course, president again, still lying about 2020, pushing this absolutely offensive and ludicrous website. How is this sitting with you 5 years later?
Well, today is an emotional day for all of us. 5 years since the President of the United States incited an insurrection on the Capitol, on the Congress, on the Constitution, on our ability to honor our oath of office, to certify the election of the President by way of certifying the Electoral College. But what's good about today is that so much of the testimony of members and of guests was about how brave our men and women and our Capitol Police, the Metropolitan Police, Washington, D.C., how brave they were, the lives they saved. What was sad is that this president refused to send the National Guard. He keeps saying, oh, I wanted it, but they didn't, with the mayor and Nancy, they didn't want it. His own Secretary of Defense testified under oath that that was not true. But he is not under oath, so he just lies, 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 lies. So but what's important is our democracy. What happened then was horrible, was horrible. Confederate flags under Lincoln's dome, the dome that Lincoln built while he was unifying, holding the unity of our country together, our union together. And this president, for some reason, decided that he was going to incite an insurrection, lie about it, because he couldn't face the fact that he was not elected President of the United States. It's his megalomania that just goes into everything he does, including some of his actions abroad.
And yet all these years later, I mean, I remember the days after. I remember watching you lead in that moment, and in the days after, you heard from so many Republicans who spoke out in the moment. And they've seemed to kind of lose their voices, is one way of diplomatically putting it, but not bravely speak out as they should, or just not speak out and say the truth.
No.
How much do you think that has led us to where we are at this moment?
Well, I think it has a great deal to do with it. When we were asking for the National Guard, the Republican, Mitch McConnell was right there, using even a profanity to say, send them right away, again and again and again, and the president wouldn't do it. And yet when it was time to have the president answer for his actions, Mitch McConnell folded and just went down a different path. But again, we don't agonize, we organize for making the future better. I wear the future on my sleeve or under my sleeve. I have faith, hope, and love. And I say, if you believe in love and the goodness of the American people, that gives people hope. So rather than just focusing on him, which he does this in order to get attention, we want to show that the American people are good people and that we'll honor the vision of our founders, we'll respect the courage of our men and women in uniform, and we will be faithful to the aspirations of our children, and we will not let his lies take us away from that.
No, and we want to keep working to preserve the memory of what happened that day. I wanted to play part of Jack Smith's testimony. It was so incredibly powerful. I've been saying we didn't all even know the sound of his voice, really, until they shared this all. But let's play that. I want to talk to you about it on the other side.
The evidence here made clear that President Trump was, by a large measure, the most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. These crimes were committed for his benefit. The attack that happened at the Capitol as part of this case does not happen without him.
That's right.
It is so powerful to hear that. It's been 5 years. It's important for people to hear that. I was, of course, working in the Biden administration at the time. I have a great affection for Attorney General Merrick Garland. It was a tough choice he made and how he pursued the strategy. You know, he went after, and they decided to go after the insurrectionists first to build the case against them. It feels to me, watching that, or this is what I was thinking about at the time, Jack Smith ran out of time. He ran out of time. Do you wish, looking back, that there had been a reversal of the strategy, that they had gone after Donald Trump earlier than they decided to?
Well, I don't want to relitigate what happened in that period of time, except to say that when we had the January 6th committee, we provided the data. Now, nothing as conclusive as Jack Smith did, and that was part of our testimony today as well, just people quoting him. Quite a remarkable presentation he made in his testimony earlier. But what we did in the Congress was to have a bipartisan committee that established the facts based on testimony of 99% of the people were Republicans in elective or appointive office. Maybe 2 of the people who were poll watchers, I don't know what party they were to, but everybody else were Republicans. So the data was there, the facts were there, the violations were there, and we presented that. How they go around, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what the validation that they have to have of all that we presented. But the fact is that this is not over. A price will be paid. And today we saw such beautiful testimony. And it was mentioned the person who was there in the Capitol, and she said, I did wrong. I did wrong, and she would not be pardoned by the president because she said she did wrong. So in any case, this isn't over yet. But let's just remember, the Times found our founders to just put together this great democracy. Thank God they made the Constitution amendable so we could ever have expanding freedom in our country. Our men and women, Lincoln saved our union. The Times found him. Now the Times have found us. And rather than just prey on what he has to say next, because that's why he lies so much, so he gets the attention that he wants for lying, we're here to respect the goodness of the American people as we go forward.
I expect other people are going to be wanting and loving those bracelets. We're going to take a very quick break. There's a lot more to discuss with you, including the year ahead and your incredible legacy in Congress. We'll be right back. We are back with House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. So many things to ask you about, but you know what it's like to be in charge of a caucus when there's a slim majority. It's looking like, as of this moment, unfortunately, there was Doug LaMalfa of California lost his life. An Indiana Republican Congressman, Jim Barrett, suffered a serious accident. So it's right now, it looks like Speaker Mike Johnson has a 1-seat majority currently for now. Very small. Yeah. What do you see as the impact of that? What are the challenges as you look to how Congress is going to run over the next year?
Well, we'll see. We have 2 governors that have been elected, and so we have to replace them. But the fact is, whatever it is in the near term and within the year, before now, 1 year from now, Hakeem Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House. The Democrats will win the House, hopefully the Senate as well. And the Republicans know that, and that's why you see some change in behavior in terms of discharge petitions, whether it's on healthcare. I even hate to bring up the other subject, but Republicans signing up on those so that we can have votes on the floor and action taken in that way. But the fact is that what's happening now is that Congress has almost been abolished by the Republicans. The Speaker has surrendered his title to the President of the United States. The Senate, too. I mean, they practically are non-existent in terms of meeting the needs of the American people from the Republican side. So what people have to see is that we're in a situation where we're about affordability. We're about how people having access to quality health care. We're about the Republicans in their big, stinking, lousy, ugly bill, which you describe, some describe differently, have taken away the subsidies, have taken millions of people off of Medicaid, $500 billion out of Medicare. That's what we should be talking about, not spending billions of dollars to go into Venezuela. The president of Venezuela is a terrible person. He's a ruthless, terrible person. It's not about whether he's worth the trouble. It's about what our priorities are in our country. And if we want to stop the use of drugs coming into the country. We have to stop the use of drugs in our country, and the best way to do that is by treatment on demand. It's the most humane and the cheapest way to solve that problem. So let's, we want this White House and this Congress to focus on meeting the kitchen table needs of the American people. That's what they should be doing, not sending money to billions of dollars to Argentina, billions of dollars to go into, it's going to be very expensive when we see how much it costs to go into Venezuela. And by the way, just to end on the Venezuela thing, he's bringing the president of Venezuela here while he's pardoning Hernandez, who's a thug from Honduras. One thing they have in common is both countries are a source of money to this administration and their friends. Oil in Venezuela, and all kinds of things in Honduras.
You have been kind of a driver of making sure Democrats and others are talking about what they're doing and that people are paying attention to it, whether it's fighting for affordable health care and the extension of these Obamacare tax credits or many other things that are on the Democratic agenda. There has been, I don't know if you saw this, Trump said today that if Democrats win in the midterms, they'll find a way to impeach him. First of all, impeachment is about what the president does. It has nothing to do with politics. But you've been through two that had good reason. Do you think he has reason to be worried? And do you think pursuing an impeachment, even if it's warranted, is worth Democrats' time?
If as I've said, there's only one person responsible for the impeachment of Donald Trump, and that's Donald Trump. He gave us no choice. He crossed the line here and there. The fact is, what we're here to do is meet the needs of the American people. If he goes to a place, that's a different story. But it isn't something you go searching for. No, it's not that. But he
is
just
Venezuela something people should watch?
You know what? Let's not. What are we talking about that for? Let's talk about winning the House and shining a bright light on what he is doing, and instead of spending the public dollar on meeting people's needs, instead spending to go into Venezuela. Now he's talking about Cuba and Colombia and Mexico and Greenland. What is this? It's insanity. It really is. I think the reason he's flirting with Greenland and disrupting NATO is to do a favor for his friend Putin. When I left his office pointing at him,
remember the picture?
I'm leaving here. I get more requests to sign that picture than anything.
I bet.
Even better than that. I said to him, I'm leaving, Mr. President. I've had it with you because with you, all roads lead to Putin. So realize that this road leads to Putin as well. This is really a sad situation of a person who is suffering from something, and consequently, the American people will pay the price. We have to make sure they know that we are fighting for those subsidies to make. It's not just about the health of American people; it's about their financial health as well. So, how do you go and say, tens of millions of people off of Medicaid, $500 billion out of Medicare, subsidies making it unaffordable to have health care. Oh, and by the way, we're giving a tax break to the richest people in America who don't need it, and we're spending money so they can make money in Argentina, Honduras, and Venezuela.
Certainly doesn't seem like a campaign slogan. I remember very distinctly the day you got the gavel.
Right.
I was there. I worked at the DCCC the cycle before. That was 20 years ago this year when you made history in that way.
Yeah. Well, in September,
it will be almost 20 years ago next year. And 40 years, almost, I think, since you've been serving. How do you think about your last year serving and what you want to accomplish over this next year?
One thing, the only reason I'm here this year is to win the House for the Democrats and for the American people. So that's my goal, to make Hakeem. He is doing a great job. And by the way, whatever the press wants to do every night about Trump, every day Democrats are calling into the Republican district. Republicans are calling into the Republican members and saying, don't take away my health care subsidies. So that's why you see some change in behavior, is because of the grassroots up. When we passed the Affordable Care Act, which I thought was my major accomplishment, I think it competes a little bit with bringing the House back into into action the day that they tried to show the world that democracy doesn't work. And we said, yes, it does. We'll be there. Don't tell me I can't go back. We're going back. That was very important to wed it to January 6th. But I'm a big believer in mobilization. You have your message, you have all of that going, you have your policy, but the mobilization of making sure people know, as Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But for public sentiment to prevail, people have to know. And that's what we are doing at the grassroots level under the leadership of Hakeem Jefferson, our Democratic leadership in the House, working with the Senate and hopefully have both houses in a victory. But we will win. And as you asked me about my last year, that's my purpose, is to make sure that that happens. And I have no doubt that it will.
Well, as long as I've been involved in politics, never bet against Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. And we will continue to talk a lot about health care on this show, I promise you. Thank you for being here.
Well, that's what matters most in the lives of American people, not the behavior of a thug like Maduro. He's really a thug. And the people of Venezuela have been so mistreated by Chavez first and now this guy, and whoever the vice president is there, it's even getting harsher, they say, in Venezuela. So let's prioritize, let's be American, let's recognize the goodness of the American people. Believing in that gives us hope, and that's what we are about.
Absolutely. A perfect place to end. Speaker Emerita Pelosi, thank you so much for being here with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.